Chittagong, (tʃɪtəɡ̒ŋ), is a major coastal seaport city and financial center in southeastern Bangladesh. The city has a population of more than 2.5 million, while the metropolitan area has a population of over 6.5 million, making it the second largest city in the country. It is the capital of an eponymous district and division. The city is located on the banks of the Karnaphuli River between the Chittagong Hill Tracts and the Bay of Bengal. The natural harbour of Chittagong has been a gateway to the historic region of Bengal for centuries. It was a prominent trading centre and hosted the first European colonial enclaves in Bengal, which were operated by the Portuguese in the 16th and 17th centuries. The district was ruled by the Sultanate of Bengal, the Kingdom of Morocco and the Mughal Empire until the 18th century, at which point it was ceded to the British East India Company. The port was the terminus of the trunk road and the Assam-Bengal Railway. During the Burma campaign in World War II, the city was also a key base for Allied forces. Rapid industrialization followed the war, becoming a part of East Pakistan in 1947. The city was the site of Bangladesh's declaration of independence in 1971. Modern Chittagong is a major hub of trade and industry. The port of Chittagong is the largest international seaport on the Bay of Bengal. The city is home to many of Bangladesh's oldest and largest companies, as well as the Chittagong Stock Exchange, the Chittagong Tea Auction and the Eastern Division of the Bangladesh Railway. The Chittagong Naval Area is the largest base of the Bangladesh Navy, though despite having a high and growing urban per capita GDP in South Asia and being one of the fastest growing cities in the world, the city has a poverty rate of 11.3% as of 2010. Chittagong is reputed as a relatively clean city, but still confronts substantial logistical and socio-economic problems. Etymology. The etymology of Chittagong is uncertain. One explanation credits the first Arab traders for the combination of the Arabic words Shat and Ganga. The Burmese tradition is that an Arakanese king, invading in the 9th century, gave the city the name tʃɪtəɡ̒ŋ. Another legend dates the name to the spread of Islam, when a Muslim lit a chati at the top of a hill in the city and called out for people to come to prayer. History. Stone Age fossils and tools unearthed in the region indicate that Chittagong has been inhabited since Neolithic times. It is an ancient port city, with a recorded history dating back to the 4th century BCE. Its harbour was mentioned in Ptolemy's world map in the 2nd century as one of the most impressive ports in the east. The region was part of the ancient Bengali Samatata and Harikala kingdoms. The Kandra dynasty once dominated the area and was followed by the Varman dynasty and Deva dynasty. Chinese traveller Xuanzang described the area as of sleeping beauty rising from mist and water in the 7th century. Arab Muslim traders frequented Chittagong since the 9th century. In 1154, al-Idrisi wrote of a busy shipping route between Basra and Chittagong, connecting it with the Abbasid capital of Baghdad. Many Sufi missionaries settled in Chittagong and played an instrumental role in the spread of Islam. Sultan Fakhruddin Mubarak Shah of Sonargaon conquered Chittagong in 1340, making it a part of Sultanate of Bengal. It was the principal maritime gateway to the kingdom, which was reputed as one of the wealthiest states in the Indian subcontinent. Medieval Chittagong was a hub for maritime trade with China, Sumatra, the Maldives, Sri Lanka, the Middle East and East Africa. It was notable for its medieval trades in pearls, silk, muslin, rice, bullion, horses and gunpowder. The port was also a major shipbuilding hub. Ibn Battuta visited the port city in 1345. Nicola Conti from Venice also visited around the same time as Batuta. Chinese Admiral Zheng He's treasure fleet anchored in Chittagong during imperial missions to the Sultanate of Bengal. 2 decades after Vasco da Gama's landing in Calicut, the Bengal Sultanate gave permission for the Portuguese settlement in Chittagong to be established in 1528. It became the first European colonial enclave in Bengal. The Bengal Sultanate lost control of Chittagong in 1531 after Arakan declared independence and the established Kingdom of Merauke. This altered geopolitical landscape allowed the Portuguese unhindered control of Chittagong for over a century. Portuguese ships from Goa and Malacca began frequenting the port city in the 16th century. The Cartas system was introduced and required all ships in the area to purchase naval trading licenses from the Portuguese settlement. A highly laissez-faire administration prevailed, with a population of Portuguese traders, merchants, sailors, adventurers, soldiers and pirates dominating the port. In 1598, the Portuguese and European population in Chittagong stood at 2,500. Slave trade and piracy flourished. The nearby island of Sanwip was conquered in 1602. In 1615, the Portuguese navy defeated a joint Dutch East India Company in Arakanese fleet near the coast of Chittagong. The Portuguese also faced increasing onslaughts from the kings of Merauke. They subsequently allied with the Arakanese and launched pirate raids on Mughal Bengal. In 1666, the Mughal government of Bengal led by Viceroy Shaista Khan moved to retake Chittagong from Portuguese Arakanese control. The Mughals attacked the Arakanese from the jungle with a 6,500-strong army, which was further supported by 288 Mughal naval ships blockading the Chittagong harbour. After 3 days of battle, the Arakanese surrendered. The Mughals expelled the Portuguese from Chittagong. Mughal rule ushered a new era in the history of Chittagong. The port city was renamed as Islamabad. The Grand Trunk Road connected it with North India and Central Asia. Economic growth increased due to an efficient system of land grants for clearing hinterlands for cultivation. The Mughals also contributed to the architecture of the area, including the building of Fort Anda and many mosques. Chittagong was integrated into the prosperous Greater Bengali economy, which also included Orissa and Bihar. Shipbuilding swelled under Mughal rule, and the Sultan of Turkey had many Ottoman warships built in Chittagong during this period. In 1685, the British East India Company sent out an expedition under Admiral Nicholson with the instructions to seize and fortify Chittagong on behalf of the English. However, the expedition proved abortive. 2 years later, the company's court of directors decided to make Chittagong the headquarters of the Bengal trade, and sent out a fleet of 10 or 11 ships to seize it under Captain Heath. However, after reaching Chittagong in early 1689, the fleet found the city too strongly held and abandoned their attempt at capturing it. The city remained under the possession of the Nawab of Bengal until 1793, when the East India Company took complete control of the former Mughal province of Bengal. The First Anglo-Burmese War in 1823 threatened the British hold on Chittagong. There were a number of rebellions against British rule, notably during the Indian Rebellion of 1857, when the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Companies of the 34th Bengal Infantry Regiment revolted and released all prisoners from the city's jail. In a backlash, the rebels were suppressed by the Select Light Infantry. Railways were introduced in 1865, beginning with the Eastern Bengal Railway connecting Chittagong to Dhaka and Calcutta. The Assam Bengal Railway connected the port city to its interior economic hinterland. which included the world's largest tea and jute-producing regions, as well as one of the world's earliest petroleum industries. Chittagong was a major center of trade with British Burma. It hosted many prominent companies of the British Empire, including James Finlay, Duncan Brothers, Burma Oil, the Indo-Burma Petroleum Company, Lloyds, Mackenzie and Mackenzie, the Chartered Bank of India, Australia and China, Turner Morrison, James Warren, the Raleigh Brothers, Lever Brothers and the Shell Oil Company. The Chittagong Armory raid by Bengali revolutionaries in 1930 was a major event in British India's anti-colonial history. During World War II, Chittagong became a frontline city in the Southeast Asian theatre. It was a critical air, naval and military base for Allied forces during the Burma campaign against Japan. The Imperial Japanese Air Force carried out air raids on Chittagong in April and May 1942, in the run-up to the aborted Japanese invasion of Bengal. British forces were forced to temporarily withdraw to Camilla and the city was evacuated. After the Battle of Imphal, the tide turned in favor of the Allied forces. Units of the United States Army Air Force's 10th Air Force were stationed in Chittagong Airfield between 1944 and 1945. American squadrons included the 80th Fighter Group, which flew P-38 Lightning fighters over Burma, the 8th Reconnaissance Group, and the 4th Combat Cargo Group. Commonwealth forces included troops from Britain, India, Australia, and New Zealand. The war had major negative impacts on the city, including the growth of refugees and the Great Famine of 1943. Many wealthy Chittagonians profited from wartime commerce. The partition of British India in 1947 made Chittagong the chief port of East Pakistan. In the 1950s, Chittagong witnessed increased industrial development. Among pioneering industrial establishments included those of Chittagong Jute Mills, the Burma Eastern Refinery, the Karnaphuli Paper Mills and Pakistan National Oil. However, East Pakistanis complained of a lack of investment in Chittagong in comparison to Karachi in West Pakistan. Even though East Pakistan generated more exports and had a larger population, the Awami League demanded that the country's naval headquarters be shifted from Karachi to Chittagong. During the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971, Chittagong witnessed heavy fighting between rebel Bengali military regiments and the Pakistan Army. It covered Sector 1 in the Mukti Bahini chain of command. The Bangladeshi Declaration of Independence was broadcast from Kalargat radio station and transmitted internationally through foreign ships in Chittagong port. The Pakistani military and supporting Razaka militias carried out widespread atrocities against civilians in the city. Mukti Bahini naval commandos drowned several Pakistani warships during Operation Jackpot in August 1971. The Bangladesh Air Force and the Indian Air Force carried out heavy bombing of Pakistani military-occupied facilities in December 1971. A naval blockade was also in force. After the war, the Soviet Navy was tasked with clearing mines in Chittagong port and restoring its operational capability. 22 vessels of the Soviet Pacific Fleet sailed from Vladivostok to Chittagong in May 1972. The process of clearing mines in the dense water harbor took nearly a year, and claimed the life of one Soviet Marine. Chittagong soon regained its status as a major port, with cargo tonnage surpassing per-war levels in 1973. In free market reforms launched by President Ziaur Rahman in the late 1970s, the city became home to the first export processing zones in Bangladesh. Zia was assassinated during an attempted military coup in Chittagong in 1981. The 1991 Bangladesh cyclone inflicted heavy damage on the city. The Japanese government financed the construction of several heavy industries and an international airport in the 1980s and 90s. Bangladeshi private sector investments increased since 1991, especially with the formation of the Chittagong Stock Exchange in 1995. The port city has been the pivot of Bangladesh's emerging economy in recent years, with the country's rising GDP growth rate. Geography. Topography. Chittagong lies at 22.36667 degrees north, 91.8000 degrees east, 22.36667, 91.8000. It straddles the coastal foothills of the Chittagong Hill Tracts in southeastern Bangladesh. The Karnaphuli River runs along the southern banks of the city, including its central business district. The river enters the Bay of Bengal in an estuary located 12 kilometers west of downtown Chittagong. Mount Seaport is the highest peak in Chittagong district, with an elevation of 351 meters. Within the city itself, the highest peak is Karnaphuli Hill at 85.3 meters. Chittagong has many lakes that were created under Mughal rule. In 1924, an engineering team of the Assam-Bengal Railway established the Foy's Lake National Parks and Beaches. The Chittagong Division is known for its rich biodiversity. Over 2,000 of Bangladesh's 6,000 flowering plants grow in the region. Its hills and jungles are laden with waterfalls, fast-flowing river streams and elephant reserves. St. Martin's Island, within the Chittagong Division, is the only coral island in the country. The fishing port of Cox's Bazar is home to one of the world's longest natural beaches. In the east, there are the three hill districts of Bandarban, Rangamati, and Kagrachari, home to the highest mountains in Bangladesh. The region has numerous protected areas, including the Teknuf Game Reserve and the Sitakunta Botanical Garden and Eco Park. Patenga Beach in the main seafront of Chittagong, located 14 kilometers west of the city. Climate. Under the Köppen climate classification, Chittagong has a tropical monsoon climate. Chittagong suffered its deadliest cyclone in 1991. It killed 138,000 people and left as many as 10 million homeless. Administration. The Chittagong City Corporation is responsible for governing municipal areas in the Chittagong metropolitan area. It is headed by the mayor of Chittagong. The mayor and ward councillors are elected every 5 years. The mayor is Awami League leader AJM Nasiruddin as of May 2015. The city corporation's mandate is limited to basic civic services. However, the CCC is credited for keeping Chittagong one of the cleaner and most eco-friendly cities in Bangladesh. Its principal sources of revenue are municipal taxes and conservancy charges. The Chittagong Development Authority is responsible for implementing the city's urban planning. Law enforcement is provided by the Chittagong Metropolitan Police and the Rapid Action Battalion 7. The district and sessions judge is the head of the local judiciary on behalf of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. The Divisional Special Judges Court is located in the colonial-era Chittagong Court building. Military. Chittagong is also a strategically important military port on the Bay of Bengal. The Chittagong Naval Area is the principal base of the Bangladesh Navy and the home port of most Bangladeshi warships. The Bangladesh Naval Academy and the Navy's elite special forces are also based in the city. The Bangladesh Army's 24th Infantry Division is based in Chittagong Cantonment, and the Bangladesh Air Force maintains the BAF Zahirul Haq Air Base in Chittagong. The city is also home to the Bangladesh Military Academy, the premier training institute for the country's armed forces. Economy. Chittagong generates for 40% of Bangladesh's industrial output, 80% of its international trade and 50% of its governmental revenue. The Chittagong Stock Exchange has more than 700 listed companies, with a market capitalization of $32 billion in June 2015. The city is home to many of the country's oldest and largest corporations. The port of Chittagong handled $60 billion in annual trade in 2011, ranking third in South Asia after the port of Mumbai and the port of Colombo. The Agrabad area is the main central business district of the city. Major Bangladeshi conglomerates headquartered in Chittagong include M. Ispahani Limited, BSRM, AK Khan and AMP Company, the PHP Group, James Finley Bangladesh, the Habib Group, the S. Alam Group of Industries, KDS Group and the TK Group of Industries. Major state-owned firms headquartered there include Pragati Industries, the Jamuna Oil Company, the Bangladesh Shipping Corporation and the Padma Oil Company. The Chittagong Export Processing Zone was ranked by the UK-based magazine Foreign Direct Investment as one of the leading special economic zones in the world in 2010. Other SEZs include the Karnaphuli Export Processing Zone and Korean EPZ. The city's key industrial sectors include petroleum, steel, shipbuilding, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, textiles, jute, leather goods, vegetable oil refineries, glass manufacturing, electronics and motor vehicles. The Chittagong Tea Auction sets the price of Bangladesh tea. The Eastern Refinery is Bangladesh's largest oil refinery. GlaxoSmithKline has had operations in Chittagong since 1967. Western Marine Shipyard is a leading Bangladeshi shipbuilder and exporter of medium-sized ocean-going vessels. In 2011-12, Chittagong exported approximately $4.5 billion in ready-made garments. The Karnaphuli paper mills were established in 1953. International banks operating in Chittagong include HSBC, Standard Chartered and Citibank. Chittagong is often called Bangladesh's commercial capital due to its diversified industrial base and seaport. The port city has ambitions to develop as a global financial center and regional transshipment hub, given its proximity to northeast India, Burma, Nepal, Bhutan and southwest China. Culture. An inhabitant of Chittagong is called Chittagonian in English. For centuries, the port city has been a melting pot for people from Bengal and other parts of Asia. Its historic trade networks have left a lasting impact on its language, culture and cuisine. The urban Chittagonian dialect of Bengali has many Arabic, Persian, English and Portuguese loanwords. The immensely popular traditional feast of Matspan features the serving of hot beef curry with white rice. The cultivation of pink pearls is a historic activity in Chittagong. Its Mughal-era name, Islamabad, continues to be used in the Old City. The name was given due to the port city's history as a gateway for early Islamic missionaries in Bengal. Notable Islamic architecture in Chittagong can be seen in the historic Bengal Sultanate-era Hamurjia Mosque and the Mughal fort of Andakila. Chittagong is known as the land of the 12 saints due to the prevalence of major Sufi Muslim shrines in the district. Historically, Sufism played an important role in the spread of Islam in the region. Prominent dargahs include the Mausoleum of Hazrat Shah Amanat and the Shrine of Bayazid Bastami. The Bastami Shrine hosts a pond with the world's last remaining population of black soft-shell turtles. Chittagong was a flourishing center of medieval Bengali literature, particularly during the Hussain Shahi dynasty of the Bengal Sultanate. state. The city was home to prominent poets like Abdul Hakim, Daular Qazi and Shah Muhammad Sagir. The greatest of Bengal's medieval writers, Allah or Ali Abbas Hussaini, also lived in the region during the reign of the Kingdom of Morocco, under the patronage of Sultan Alauddin Hussain Shah's governor in Chittagong. Kabindra Parameshvar wrote his Pandabajay, a Bengali adaptation of the Mahabharata. Chittagong is home to several important Hindu temples, including the Chandranath Temple on the outskirts of the city, which is dedicated to the Hindu goddess Sita. The city also hosts the country's largest Buddhist monastery and council of monks. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Chittagong is the oldest Catholic mission in Bengal. Major cultural organizations in the city include the Theatre Institute Chittagong and the Chittagong Performing Arts Academy. The city has a vibrant contemporary art scene, being home to the pioneering rock bands in the country like Souls and LRB. Chittagong is regarded as the birthplace of Bangladeshi rock music. Demographics: Chittagong has a population of more than 2.5 million, and its metropolitan area has a population of 4,009,423. By gender, the population was 54.36% male and 45.64% female, and the literacy rate in the city was 60%. In 2002, Muslims form 83.92% of the population. Other major religions in the city are Hinduism at 13.76%, Buddhism at 2.01%, Christianity at 0.11%, and others at 0.2%. Bengalis constitute the largest ethnic group, followed by minorities such as the Chakmas and Marmas. The Bengali-speaking Theravada Buddhists of the area, known as Baruas, are one of the oldest communities in Chittagong and one of the last remnants of Buddhism in Bangladesh. Many Ismailis settled in the city during the 1940s and 1950s. Descendants of Portuguese settlers, often known as Firingas, also live in Chittagong, as well as Catholics, who largely live in the old Portuguese enclave of Patagata. There is also a small Urdu-speaking Bihari community living in the ethnic enclave known as Bihari Colony. Chittagong has experienced a rapid reduction in urban poverty in recent years. In 2005, the poverty rate was estimated at 27.8%. However, in 2010, the rate had dropped to 11.8% as compared to the national average of 31.5%. Like other major urban centers in South Asia, Chittagong has also experienced a steady growth in its slum settlements as a result of the increasing economic activities in the city and emigration from rural areas. According to a poverty reduction publication of the International Monetary Fund, there were 1,814 slums within the city corporation area, inhabited by about 1.8 million slum dwellers, the second highest in the country after the capital, Dhaka. The slum dwellers often face eviction by the local authorities, charging them with illegal abode on government lands. Media and communications. There are several newspapers, including daily newspapers, opposition newspapers and business newspapers, based in Chittagong. Daily newspapers include Dainik Azadi, People's View, The Daily Suprabhat Bangladesh, Purbicon, Life, Karnaphuli, Jyoti, Rashtrabhata and Azan. Furthermore, there are a number of weekly and monthly newspapers. These include weeklies such as Chatla, Jyoti, and Sultan, and the monthlies such as Sanshodhani, Purobi, Muklika and Sumanto. The only press council in Chittagong is the Chittagong Press Club. Government-owned Bangladesh Television and Bangladesh Beta have transmission centers in Chittagong. Chittagong has been featured in all aspects of Bangladesh Bangladeshi popular culture, including television, movies, journals, music and books. Nearly all televisions and radios in Bangladesh have coverage in Chittagong. Renowned Bollywood film director Ashutosh Gowariker directed a movie based on the 1930s Chittagong uprising. Movie's name is Keeline Humji Jhanse, in which Abhishek Bachchan played the lead role. Utilities. The southern zone of the Bangladesh Power Development Board is responsible for supplying electricity to city dwellers. The fire services are provided by the Bangladesh Fire Service and AMP Civil Defence Department under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The water supply and sewage systems are managed by the Chittagong Water Supply and Sewerage Authority. Water is primarily drawn from Karnaphuli River and then purified in the purification plant. Chittagong has extensive GSM and CDMA coverage, served by all the major mobile operators of the country, including Grameenphone, Banglalink, Citycell, Robi, Teletalk and Airtel Bangladesh. However, landline telephone services are provided through the state-owned Bangladesh Telegraph and Telephone Board, as well as some private operators. BTTB also provides broadband internet services, along with some private ISPs, including the 4G service providers Banglalian and QB.